It's Thursday, October 7th, and this is now on HNN.
Look, I know the vaccination requirements are tough medicine.
President Biden is touting the effectiveness of vaccine requirements in the workforce. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House with a look at the numbers as officials work to get more Americans vaccinated.
Oahu's ban on large gatherings will likely be allowed to expire this month.
So we'll get back in the business of normalcy, even though there's an overriding emergency proclamation.
These stories plus a large earthquake strikes Japan. We've got the latest video coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thank you for watching This Is Now. You got Jonathan and Ashley right here in the H&N Digital Center. A lot of news to get to today, but let's start with the latest numbers being reported by the State Department of Health.
8 more Hawaii residents have died after contracting COVID-19. The health department is also adding 304 new infections today. The breakdown by island shows 166 cases on Oahu, 54 on the Big Island, 30 on Maui, 28 on Kauai, and 26 residents were diagnosed out of state. Meanwhile, the Hawaii Events Coalition is holding a rally at the state capitol protesting Oahu's current COVID restrictions. Demonstrators say professionally managed events are safe.
It's been difficult, especially as the latest surge had gone on and restrictions started to be re-implemented, as well as the patchwork of rules that we had to deal with across the islands. It's been incredibly frustrating and difficult for clients. In particular, here on Oahu, we are literally the only county that can't do live events right now. They're happening on all of the other outer islands.
All right, let's talk more about these changes or potential changes to gathering size rules. Let's bring in Casey Lund. Hey, Casey, what did we learn from the mayor yesterday?
Yeah, that's a good word, potential, because this is all still just being talked about, and the mayor has to ask the governor for permission to relax these rules. But what's in place now is that extension of the limits on gathering sizes. So right now we're 10 people indoors for social gatherings, 25 people outdoors. The idea is right now, what the mayor's exploring is asking the governor to let those restrictions expire on the date that they are expected to expire on October 19th. And interestingly enough, that is just 4 days before that New Mexico State game against UH. And you should listen to what the mayor had to say about his conversation with UH leadership regarding the plans for letting fans in that game.
We're so grateful of the circumstance that I don't want to get too far in front of ourselves. It's our anticipation that come October 19th, when the second day, 20 days ends, if these trends continue, that we'll suspend that banning of large gatherings, and we'll get back in the business of normalcy, even though there's an overriding emergency proclamation. And candidly, what I proposed was, per the University of Hawaii, my conversations with David Matlin and David Lasner, was the 1,000 fans for the New Mexico State game. At least we take that one. There's 3 more games left.
So, Casey, the mayor was also talking about some other big sporting events, right?
Yeah, and not just spectator sports like people going to watch football. These are participation sports. When you think of things like the Honolulu Marathon, the last time that happened, I believe there were some 30,000 plus people registered. So it impacts a lot of people. And we actually got to talk yesterday to the president and CEO of the Honolulu Marathon about what it might take and what it might look like to pull that off.
And in the next 4 weeks, we're going to have New York City, Boston, and Chicago. Marathons, big marathons, over 100,000 people, over 1 million spectators. So in that context, we at the Honolulu Marathon are saying, if these events are safe to have and other cities are allowing them, and I do believe they are safe and have proven to be safe, then why can't we do it responsibly here in Honolulu?
What's interesting about the Honolulu Marathon, by the way, is that a big chunk of the last time we had it in person is Japanese tourists, and those folks still aren't back. You know, that's still up in the air. So there's a lot of things still left to figure out, but the president and CEO saying that he's confident that his team is ready to use vaccination records and negative COVID tests to make that a safe in-person event, which we know a lot of people in this newsroom would be very excited about. Not me so much.
I know they're already accepting applications. And I also wanted to note we are expecting to hear from Governor Ige before the end of the work week regarding potential rule changes. We're expecting a press conference as soon as we learn more more about that, we'll let you know. And of course, you'll always be able to watch it live when we send out an H&N push alert from your smartphone device. Let's toss it over to Ashley with more news.
An update on the vaccine front. Pfizer is asking the FDA for emergency use authorization for its shots for children ages 5 to 11. Skylar Henry has more.
President Biden doubted the effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccine requirements while touring a Chicago area construction site that's implementing steps to get more employees vaccinated.
You're helping us beat back COVID-19.
His trip comes as the White House says the requirements are driving up vaccination rates in the nation's workforce, helping up to 5 million Americans get back to work, and the mandates have support from many businesses, unions, and a majority of the public.
We've made real progress across the board. More than 185 million Americans are now fully vaccinated, more than 75% of eligible Americans.
As White House officials work to get more Americans to roll up their sleeves and get vaccinated, Pfizer is asking the FDA for emergency use authorization for its vaccine for children ages 5 through 11. 8-year-old Sebastian Prybal took part in Pfizer's clinical trial.
It makes me very happy that I'm helping other kids get the vaccine.
Studies show the heavy toll the pandemic is taking on children. They currently make up more than a quarter of new COVID cases. And new research finds more than 140,000 children have lost a caregiver to COVID-19.
Look, I know the vaccination requirements are tough medicine. Unpopular with some, politics for others. But they're life-saving. They're game-changing for our country.
The FDA is promising quick action on Pfizer's vaccine for children, saying a panel will meet later this month to debate the evidence. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Despite opposition from 2 of its members, the Honolulu City Council voted yesterday to advance a hotel room tax increase to help pay for the rail and city operations. Bill 40 increases the hotel room tax on Oahu to cover some of the city's operating expenses, maintain its parks and beaches, and to help pay for the rail. But some council members and rail skeptics worry that too much money will go to bail out the troubled mass transit project.
And I'll be voting no. I do appreciate and look forward to hearing more about this, but I think this is a very dangerous precedent, and this cannot be the miracle solution for rail.
Now, the mayor didn't say how high he was willing to raise this transit accommodation tax, but he did say the city services and maintaining Oahu's attractions will have a priority over rail.
And those monies were tied to being to make sure that we could provide services for our local residents first and foremost, but also not let the wear and tear of that many visitors take away from the visitor experience.
So here's what Howard Dykes had to say about this measure this morning on Sunrise.
As a former resident of Washington, D.C., I can tell you there's an old saying on Capitol Hill, don't tax you, don't tax me, tax that fella behind that tree. People who hate having their taxes go up see reprieve in taxing others instead. When the state legislature decided to stop sharing its TAT revenue with the counties, throwing them the bone of authorizing them to pass their own TATs, you'd have thought the counties would have erupted in fury. Instead, the counties see an opportunity not only to no longer be supplicants to the legislature begging for sharing, but also an opportunity to avoid raising property tax rates, instead sticking it to tourists. And not just hotel guests, because the transient accommodations tax also applies to unpopular vacation rentals.
The bill next goes to the Budget Committee for further hearings.
The Honolulu Police Department has taken action against 4 veteran officers who spoke out against a commander accusing him of bullying, sexual harassment, and retaliation in a Hawaii News Now report last month. They've been warned by the department that they violated a policy and could face discipline if it happens again. Critics say it seems like retaliation. Our Lynn Kawano has more.
Honolulu Police Commissioners asked the interim chief about our news report and about action the department is taking against the officers because of it. An internal email I've obtained, sent from Acting Deputy Chief Lisa Mann, notifies other commanders that the 4 officers will get a 384, written counseling for speaking to the media. The veteran officers in an interview last month described incidents of bullying, sexual harassment, and retaliation by HPD Major Stephen Girona. Interim Chief Roddy Vanek insisted a 384 is not discipline, but critics say it is retaliation and intimidation.
It's counseling in a written format. It is not considered disciplinary. It does not go into an employee's personnel folder.
The issues with this person who appears to be bullying people within the police department. So then seeing the department essentially doubling down and retaliating against people for speaking out is shocking.
Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Thanks, Lynn, for that update. We got some developing news coming out of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, the Senate has locked in a deal to pass a short-term debt ceiling extension. So a key procedural vote to break the filibuster, which will require 60 votes to move forward, will happen at around 1:30 p.m. Hawaii time. And if that does happen, the Senate will then move directly to passing the short-term deal. Now, under the agreement, the debt ceiling will be raised by $480 billion. Officials believe that will set up the next deadline for December 3rd, and that's the same day government funding is expected to expire. Now, if the deal passes the Senate today, it then heads to the House for approval before going to President Biden for his signature.
Can we just take a moment and look at this live picture coming in from
Beautiful.
Washington, D.C.? The days are getting shorter there, and those lawmakers are definitely working late into the night tonight on the East Coast. We'll have an update of exactly what happens on your later editions of H&N. And don't forget that CBS Nightly News and NBC Evening News. I think I reversed those names, but you get the point. There's national newscasts that will update you that we air on our stations. All right, you guys, there's a red flag warning out there. Those winds are still pretty breezy. You can always get up to date on that by just downloading your app, your severe weather app here at H&N. But let's get an update right here and now from our guy, Hoggy.
High temperatures running to about 87, 88 degrees, and those winds blowing breezy today, getting stronger tomorrow. And because of those strengthening trade winds, we'll see an increasing easterly wind swell. High surf advisories might be posted too pretty soon. And South Shores, we're expecting a little boost this afternoon and then getting bigger for the next several days. Over the weekend, South Shores could see a high surf advisory. Otherwise, we're going to see rainbow weather. We're going to see some windward and Mauka showers from time to time. A few more showers for those windward and Mauka areas are due between Saturday and Monday, so it might be a little damp over the weekend, mainly for those windward sides. Leeward side still expecting a fair bit of sunshine. High temperatures running into the upper 80s. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
To severe weather on the mainland now. The death toll from flash floods caused by heavy rains in Alabama has risen to 4. Forecasters say as much as 13 inches of rain from a slow-moving front covered roads, trapping people in cars and homes. All 4 of the deaths occurred when water swept away vehicles, and the victims include a 4-year-old girl who died in northeast Alabama. A flood watch remains in effect for the area, especially in the metro area of Birmingham.
A strong earthquake shook Japan's Tokyo region today. The magnitude 5.9 quake hit around 3:30 Hawaii time in Chiba Prefecture, just east of Japan's largest city. Officials say there is no tsunami threat. Japanese media says more than 20 people were hurt, buildings were swaying, but there are no reports of damage. Hundreds of homes are without power, though, and train service in some areas are suspended. A surfer in Northern California survived a bite from a great white shark last weekend. These attacks are rare and almost always involve adult sharks. Carter Evans visited a Southern California beach where juvenile great whites routinely swim with surfers, and now researchers are getting up close to find out why that's happening.
During what's proving to be a very busy shark season off Southern California, just beyond the surf camp students in the shore break.
There's a fin out there. See a fin?
Oh my God. A sight that's terrifying for most people.
There's a shark?
It's actually one of many. Most swimmers never even see them, but video from above shows countless baby great white sharks up to 6 years old and 10 feet long swimming among families and surfers. It's becoming so familiar here, something unusual is happening to these kids and their parents.
Hello, shark.
They're not afraid.
So you've seen sharks out there when your son is out here?
Yes.
It sounds weird to say, doesn't it?
Yes. I almost don't want to think about it too much.
Anna Rudnicki says her perception of the apex predator is changing.
I guess if my kid's right there and I just saw a shark go by, then yeah, it must be changing.
Surf camp owner Chris Keat has a plan when a shark gets too close.
What happens then?
We blow a whistle. We have everyone come inside the surf line. We call it Code Black.
Chris Lowe runs the Shark Lab at Cal State Long Beach.
We want to be able to predict where these sharks will show up.
And to better understand what's attracting the sharks, they have to catch one. Researcher James Anderson and the team wrangle it along the boat.
It's thrashing, it's trying to get away, and then you've got to untangle it from the net. Get it onto its back so that it then calms down and goes into a tonic immobility state.
He takes blood and tissue samples to help learn what the shark is eating, maybe a clue to why the shark is here. Then he performs surgery at sea.
And the tag.
Implanting a tracking device that will last a decade. Ultimately, the team hopes to create a shark report to go with the surf report, so Southern California beachgoers know when to expect company in the water.
The puppies of the sea. A lot of people are okay with them. Me, they still sort of freak me out.
Yeah.
Scare me a little bit.
Of
But
course.
I understand they're in their home, and if you don't bother them, they're not going to bother you for the most part. All right, guys, Earthlings are sitting ducks when it comes to asteroids hurtling towards the planet, but NASA wants to change that. I would hope so. Let's see what they're up to. Here's what it is. The agency plans to conduct its first test of a planetary defense system the day before Thanksgiving. The agency will launch a SpaceX Falcon rocket from California and aim it towards a 525-foot-long asteroid. Yep. It's currently already orbiting another large asteroid about 6.8 million miles away. NASA wants to see if they can change its orbit and keep it from, well, if one of it's ever coming this way, from crashing into the Earth. It sounds like a plot line of Armageddon.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this movie before.
Yeah, I think a couple versions. If it works, the thought is the technique could be used to do just that. If it's ever threatens Earth, NASA plans to use satellites to record the impact and stream the test on its app and website. And I'm sure we'll be watching that here at This Is Now, day before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yep. What'd you
Put it on
find,
the
Ash?
calendar. Scientists are excited about discovering a well-preserved tardigrade fossil in a 16-million-year-old piece of amber. This sounds like another movie we've seen before. Well, known for their ability to survive extreme environments, microscopic tardigrades have lived on Earth for more than 500 million years and have managed to survive 5 mass extinction events on Earth. But these tiny animals, sometimes called water bears, don't leave many fossils behind. In fact, this is only the third one ever discovered, and it represents a new species of the creature now extinct. Experts say some specimens could be living on the moon today after a spacecraft carrying them crashed there.
Look at that thing. It really does look like the cane from the old man in Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah.
Really does.
I love it. And the man who composed the music for the Broadway play Cats has a lot to say about the 2019 film adaptation of his work. Now, Tony, Grammy, and Academy Award-winning composer Andrew Lloyd Webber told Variety magazine the film was so bad it made him buy a dog. Now, Webber jokes the film left him so emotionally damaged, he declared his dog a therapy dog. And according to Webber, when an airline asked for the dog's medical documentation, he told the flight crew to look at what Hollywood did to his musical. Now, Webber says he then got an approval with a note reading, "No doctor's report required." The Hollywood adaptation of Cats got a 20% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and won 6 Razzie Awards last year, including Worst Picture.
And it just looked sort of scary.
Yeah.
The animation and the CGI, I wasn't into it. I never saw it, but I know it got a lot of hate out there. You guys, let's get to some good news, and it's coming from Jim Mendoza. He just talked to an astronaut who trained here on the Big Island and is now back on Earth after orbiting just recently. Let's play it out.
Cyan, welcome back to Earth.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
I know that we have a few things that I want to chat with you about, but just give me a little small snippet of the excitement that you feel being on this side of the journey that you were so much anticipating.
Yeah, it feels amazing because we did it. We had a successful mission to space and back, and we also hit our fundraising goal of $200 million for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So it's a party all around.
It's a win, 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 win.
It is.
Oh my goodness. Tell me about the experience, Cyan, because I know you talked about it, This is something that you had planned for. You tried for NASA before, and lo and behold, you make your trip into space. What was it like when you're walking to the Dragon capsule and you're just getting ready to go, and all of a sudden it's a liftoff?
You know, it was kind of like that. It was all really quick. You know, you go to the suit dress up room, you get ready, you have your ride out to the launch pad, and Haley and I chose It's a Beautiful Day by U2 as our ride up song. And then you get out and you look up and you're like, whoa, I can't believe I'm going to be riding that into space. And then when you get in and, you know, it's all your training just kicks in. And so you kind of go through everything that you need to do. But you're in the back of your mind, you think, okay, you know, we could scrub, or the launch escape system could kick us off. So you're kind of prepared for those things. But then the countdown just happens and you're like, all right, we're going to space. And then the next thing you know, those engines ignite and you are just rolling on the best ride of your life.
Did you see Hawaii?
We did pass over Hawaii, but, you know, a lot of times it was funny because a lot of clouds, a lot of blue, a lot of ocean. So just depending on how, and we're moving really fast. So it's like you pop up in the cupola, and if you see something, you call down, and you're like, hey, you know, what am I over? And by the time somebody gets to the flight computer and figures it out, you're already past it. And so but Australia was the running joke. Every time we looked out the window and saw actual brown, it was the continent of Australia.
Oh, wow. What does space look like from there, from that altitude?
Just, you know, it's the blackest black, but you also see the stars, and the stars are, you know, like clear light instead of like having a twinkle to them. And so, and the most interesting thing was the moon, because we had moonrise. So we had the earth, and then the moon would come up and peek behind the earth and it was like it was suspended there. Just beautiful.
Jim Mendoza, always getting the best interviews. And just a reminder, he has a podcast. He just published the latest episode, episode 13. You can find it anywhere you find your podcast. Just search Tell Me a Story with Jim Mendoza, or search Hawaii News Now, and it will most likely pop up. I think she's going to be a part of a later podcast. We were talking, A Beautiful Day is a very popular astronaut song. What did you say yours would be?
Well, I was joking. The Circle of Life from The Lion King.
Makes sense, orbiting. I get it. Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Speaking of music, we got some big music news about to happen.
Yeah, so the 44th annual Nahoku Hano Hano Awards are tonight. The broadcast is at 7 on our sister station K5. Your favorite local artists will be sharing the stage to honor the best in Hawaiian music.
For us to be able to go up and share what's inside of us, you know, to Hawaii and whoever else might be watching, that they would be blessed. And I get to do it with some of my best friends.
It felt right, and it felt so good to be on that stage for the first time with what feels like family. They're like family to me, and I just can't wait to see how many lives they'll touch with their music, and just, you know, what we'll do together as a label.
Again, the broadcast starts at 7 on K5.
And guys, I wanted to leave you today with something adorable and cute, just to get your afternoon going. Check this out. This is Otis the brown bear, estimated to be 24 to 26 years old.
Aww.
He was just crowned on Tuesday as the winner of Alaska's annual Fat Bear Week.
Fat Bear?
Yeah, that's what it's called, but I think he looks like in fine shape, if you ask me. You guys have a great afternoon. We'll leave you with this.